What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and in today's video I'm here to talk to you guys about version 2.01 of Tekken 8. We just got a brand new patch for the game today, or I guess technically last night, and I think it's another step in the right direction. Obviously things have been tumultuous to say the least since the release of season 2 for Tekken 8, where many players, myself included, just were not very big fans of it, to put it lightly. And a lot of us weren't even playing the game, myself included. I touched it a couple of times and I was just like, this is really not for me. I'm gonna just play the waiting game and see what these patches have to offer. And the most recent patch that we got was a step in the right direction, and I believe I could say the same for this one as well. And even though they feel like baby steps, I think with enough of these baby steps, by the end of season 2, by the time we get to season 3, we might have a pretty damn good game on our hands. But you know, better late than never. I'd rather slow progress than no progress. So let's go ahead and talk about these notes. So if we jump on over to the monitor, you can see I have, which by the way, this will be linked in the description down below if you want all the notes in detail for yourself if you don't already have it. Obviously new Tekken shop stuff and everything like that. I'm all here for costumes and everything, but this is what we really care about. And so here's the adjustment policy for the game. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. And there are like 4 major key points to take away from here. Number 1 being gradual adjustment of moves with excessive return. So basically the risk versus reward right now in Tekken 8 is very skewed, and that skewed risk versus reward is a big reason why I stopped enjoying and ultimately stopped playing Dragon Ball FighterZ, where it felt like there were very powerful moves and strategies that you were encouraged to do that didn't take a lot of thought or skill to do, and when it worked out you were rewarded very handsomely, and then when it didn't work out, the punishment that you received wasn't nearly as great. And I just feel like there needs to be more of a balance there. Right now in Tekken 8, it felt like we were trending in that direction where it's just insanely high reward with very little risk. And so they're kind of trying to dial some of that back. And they even acknowledge, one-sided developments and the one-sided gameplay where you would be forced into a situation where a character does like a very powerful move on block, where they have frame advantage and they go into a stance and you're forced to eat a mix-up. And, there was these sequences that would reoccur where it's just very one-sided gameplay where you can't really take your turn back and you're just constantly guessing for your life until the round ends. And so, yeah, they're working on dialing some of that back after adding a lot of that in season 2. Also the reduction of aerial combo damage. So we knew that combo changes were coming to the game. This has been a hot topic of conversation for Tekken 8. And I have, some mixed feelings on it. I do understand that people aren't big fans of the length of combos in the game, and I think that probably matters a lot more than the combo damage. My thing right now is that we've seen a lot of people talking about combo damage. We've seen a lot of people talking about combo length. However, historically, Tekken has high combo damage. I don't think the damage is necessarily the issue, but it seems that they're addressing that regardless. I think the length of combos is what's more of a problem. Because even though I come from, Dragon Ball FighterZ, and I've played other games even before that, but obviously that's the one I always go back to in reference and what you guys mostly know me for. That's a 2D game where I'm used to seeing and performing 10, 20, 30 second long combos. It's not out of the ordinary. Like if you play 2D games or anime fighters, like that's pretty normal. In Tekken, that's not really the case. And so when you're taken out of the game for so long, it doesn't feel as if you're playing the game very much. And so people want changes made to that. And I understand that some people feel like damage is too high, and I get it because characters are very regularly performing 80 to 100 damage combos when you have, all these different resources between heat burst, heat dash, heat smash, rage arts. It gets pretty crazy, and some characters don't even have to use half of that in order to get that excessive combo damage. My problem, however, with this is that for one, I do think that damage should vary from character to character. So just doing these like sweeping changes across the entire roster where you're just nerfing everybody, while I do agree a lot of characters need to be nerfed, in fact maybe even most characters need to be nerfed, I do feel like it should be more unique and specific changes. Also, we've already seen that with the addition of more health in the game, matches have gotten longer. I feel like we're seeing more timeouts, more matches come down to like the last 10 seconds. And I think this is going to exacerbate that even further, where now that combos and moves are doing less damage, the matches are going to take even longer. And I think that would create for a less fun game, a not as exciting viewer experience and everything like that. So what is the perfect solution? I don't know. I just don't feel as though combo damage was nearly as poor nor as big of a deal as so much as it was with the combo length, with like, all these different mechanics and these camera zoom ins and slowdowns and things like that. And also with having multiple aerial tailspins and everything like that. The strong aerial tailspin is something that should be mitigated a lot more, in my opinion. But yeah, rambled a lot about that point, but I just have a lot of feelings and thoughts on that. Then the adjustment to heat burst. Heat burst has basically been nerfed and made more linear. For a lot of characters, you're going to see a reoccurring trend where heat burst was basically made to be more steppable, which is a big thing that I've been vocal about and something that I've wanted to see in the game. It has been nerfed before, has been nerfed even more now because you had certain characters where it was just still too good, like Bryan, for example, and even heat burst, like hitbox changes to a character like Asuka, hers was insane as well. Then we've also got the reduction of chip damage from heat smash, which is another reoccurring change you're going to see a lot for most of these characters, if not all of them. And yeah, then I also talk about some future adjustments where we're expected to get another patch in early June. So hopefully that's within the first week or two of June, based on the wording. And then I believe Nakatsu even said on Twitter that we should expect another one in July. So it looks like we're getting at least one of these a month. And I do feel as though that there is such a thing as overpatching a game, but with the game being in the state that it has been, and with season 2 making the changes that it did, it does feel as though that this is necessary, especially when a lot of the changes that they're doing are so small and incremental. And I'm not mad at that. I can understand it being, you know, a little bit, it feels like we're being drip fed these changes, and it can make some people a little bit impatient. But like I said, I feel like slow progress is better than no progress. So I'll gladly take it if it means that, you know, eventually we will end up with a very great game. Because I do think Tekken 8 still has that potential, and I thought this could be one of, if not the best Tekken games of all time. And then, you know, things took a massive dip, but I think they're back on the incline. So in that June patch, they're going to be focusing on moves that consume remaining heat timer duration, as well as improvements through targeted character tweaks, so more specific bounce adjustments to characters. And I'm looking forward to see what that patch has to offer, although based on that wording, it seems like they're going to be specific changes that are once again going to feel like another baby step, but one in the right direction. And so then we start moving on to the character changes. So with Alisa, she got the heat smash chip damage nerf. This is something you're going to see across the board for basically, like I said, every single character, where heat smashes are doing less chip damage on block. And I think less chip damage in the game is a good thing. So I'm not mad at that at all. And then lots of damage nerfs. Again, they're reducing damage on combos and a lot of different moves for characters. And that's basically the gist of the Alisa changes. You can see the specific moves written out here for yourself, but just know that chip damage nerf and damage nerfs in general were the big things with Alisa. Then with Anna, we also have the removal of the unintended follow-ups that she was getting off of back 1+2, damage decrease on her hammer stance 1+2, and up 4 3+4 now floor breaks on the final hit. And then that's pretty much it for Anna. Then when it comes to Asuka, again, she gets the heat changes, so her the attack hitbox has been reduced against opponents when grounded, making it easier to sidestep. So this is something that you're going to see a lot. Basically, her heat burst is easier to sidestep now. She also got the heat smash chip damage reduced. Also, this is a big one. Her forward 3+4 no longer strong aerial tail spins. I think this is the type of change that we could stand to see with more characters, where we're just removing the strong aerial tail spins, because I feel like that's what's increasing to the high combo damage and, more importantly, the length of combos. And again, I know we're going back to this already, and I just spoke at length about combos, but you know, FDX brings up a good point a lot that I had considered, but not as deeply as he had, in that, you know, historically in a game like this, you had to choose what you wanted out of your combo, right? There were basically 3 major options you were picking from, whether you wanted maximum or optimal damage, maximum wall carry, or you wanted a combo that gave you good Oki after the end of the combo. And right now in Tekken, you kind of get all of that combined in one, where the max damage combo is also going to give you incredible wall carry and lead to some sort of Oki setup or put you in stands, and you know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, maybe combos should be more nuanced and diverse, and you should have to think, and there should be layers to it, and like context should matter, you know what I mean, as opposed to, you know what I'm saying? And not to say that there isn't still adjustments to be made and everything like that, like, you know, players do have to alter their combos based on specific situations, but not to the same degree that you had in the past, I feel. Anyway, continuing on, she also gets less damage on her running 3+4, which is that you know, the homing plus on block high. I'm sorry, not 3+4, but her running 1+2. So that goes from 30 damage to 27 damage, but it's still plus on block, still a homing, still a high, still duckable, everything like that. She gets more damage scaling on her Naniwa Gusto 4-2. And then they also remove the camera effects from a lot of her Naniwa Gusto moves, which I'm a fan of. Like I said, I think the camera effects and slowdowns and zoom-ins and everything like that contribute a lot more to combos feeling longer, and certain things like taking up more time and everything like that, and rounds being longer and matches being longer and taking you out of the game for more. And they're just certain things that like seem small in the moment, but they add up over the course of an entire round or a match, kind of like in Dragon Ball FighterZ, right? Dragon Ball FighterZ is a very cinematic game where you have like these zoom ins and camera shakes and everything like that, and obviously the supers are all cinematic, and that's all well and cool, and it adds to the impact and the effect of the game, and it makes it feel more anime and everything like that. But that's a part of the reason why those matches take so long. You know, DBFZ is historically known and infamous for the game taking forever to play out. and it feels like we're kind of going in that direction with Tekken 8. So I would definitely welcome the removal of more camera effects. I would sacrifice some of the impact just for the sake of like the game flowing better and just not taking as long. Moving on to Azucena, she gets the regular heat smash and heat burst changes, but also her heat smash had an issue where if the first hit whiffed or the third hit connected, she would get like a crazy amount of damage, and so it fixed that. Also her down one has increased pushback on block. It's +4 on block, I want to say, and it's a mid, but it has more pushback now. It also leaves her into full crouches. By the way, the new full crouch lows, maybe that needs to be looked at. Full crouch low needs to be looked at, but you know. And then they also nerfed her running 3-2 again. So you know that she got running 3-2 into stance now, but it goes from +5 to +3. And this is something that you're going to see multiple times across these characters as well, where things are going from like +5 to like +2 or 3 or something along those lines. Next, we have Bryan. So his Snake Eyes back 1+2 always goes into crouch now, and also they reduced the hitbox and changed it from +7 to +4. So seeing the removal of plus frames in this game, I think is a very welcome feature. And you're going to realize that the 99.9% of the changes in this patch are all nerfs, which I think is a good thing. I know we all meme and talk about the video like, oh, we should buff more than we nerf and everything like that. People always want to see their favorite character get better. But I have said multiple times on this channel, on stream, in several videos that character power in Tekken 8 was way too high. We need more nerfs than we need buffs. I think everybody could stand to come down. And it feels like they're trying to kind of bring the majority of the cast down to a certain level and just kind of like even things out, and then they'll go from there and continue to make changes. At least that's my impression that I'm getting, and so I kind of welcome that. And maybe that's why they're being so careful, because obviously so much new stuff has been added to the game, not only with Tekken 8 compared to previous titles, but even with season 2 compared to season 1. So it's like, okay, we don't want to be too drastic right away. We're going to, you know, be a little bit more careful and selective about how we do things, and then overall it'll add up to being a big deal and very, very different in the end, but it's just going to take some time. So I guess patience is a virtue in this situation. Anyway, it also has reduced pushback and better tracking on hits so that it connects, not necessarily better homing like, you know, in neutral or whatever, but like once the first hit already connects. And then also he gets the heat burst and heat smash changes, with it being more steppable and less chip damage. Then with Claudio, he gets the heat changes as well, and also he gets increased pushback on his up forward 3+4. But I'm not gonna lie, Claudio's got that move, that forward 3-2, right? And we saw Gold running amok with that move. You know, the new chargeable move he has, I think it's like -13 regularly, but when he has Starburst, it's +1 normally. Okay. Fully charged, it's a +14 guard break that also wall splats, and when you charge it even without Starburst, I believe it's neutral on block. It's also mid. That move is insane. Gold is obviously an incredible player who had plenty of results in season 1 without that, but like, yeah, I don't know, that move's kind of crazy. I saw him like abusing that Evo Japan. I'm like, hey, we might got to do something about that. Clive is basically the exact same. He gets the heat burst and heat smash changes, more steppable, less chip damage, reduced from 11 to 10. Big deal. Then we get Double Jin, down forward 1-2, change the opponent's behavior on hit, and then also his down back 1+2 charge move has been changed from +17 to +5, which is still a lot, but like, why was it ever +17 in the first place, bro? Like, what game are we playing? Also, the tracking ability has been reduced, so it's easier to sidestep, and then his Morning Crow 1+2 has also been decreased in frame advantage from +5 to it now being neutral on block. So some nerfs for Double Jin that Double Jin fans probably won't be, you know, too happy about, but again, just everybody's getting nerfed. It's not just any one character in specific. Although, funnily enough, Dragunov, who's still a very, very powerful character, although we don't see as much of him as we used to, the only changes that he got were the heat changes. So, you know, more steppable heat burst and a little bit less chip damage on his heat smash. And then same exact thing with Eddy. Heat changes, and then he has an issue where he would get like an extra Mandinga level, and then they fixed that. And I'm going to hope and assume, but maybe they already did it in the last patch, a little glitch where he could teleport, or if you hold down forward as sort of around, he like teleports forward. I think they fixed that in the last patch already, actually. So yeah. Moving on, we have Feng, who gets the heat changes, and then also his back 3+4 while he's in heat goes from +12 to +7, and also they remove the camera effect on hit. Honestly, like I said, I'd like to see more of this removal of these camera effects. Then with Heihachi, we have the heat changes, back 4 has its damage reduced, and then also the the running 1+2 hold forward, I believe that's his headbutt, right? That goes from +8 to +6, and then also he gets a bunch of damage nerfs in Warrior's Instinct, which it's probably going to add up a lot, because right now, and like I get it, that's kind of the point, but he just feels like triple S tier god mode when he's in Warrior Instinct, and like that is the point. But honestly, these damage nerfs are probably a welcome change. Then we have Hwoarang, who again gets the heat changes. And then during Right Flamingo down forward 4, they actually increased the chip damage from 3 to 4 because the move list said it was 4, but it wasn't, so now it actually is. And then his Wild Rising 1-4 had a bug where you couldn't like duck the flappy kicks after he did that, and so that was an unintended bug, and they fixed that. No change to the new move, the down 3+4, the high crushing homing move into stance that he has. Honestly, I don't even know what changes you would make to that to make it make a lot more sense. It's a move that he just probably shouldn't have, so unless they're going to remove it entirely, I don't know what they could do to it that would make people who obviously have to deal with it happy about it. You guys let me know in the comments down below. I honestly haven't even played much Hwoarang in Season 2 outside of a few times in practice mode, because the very few times I was playing the game during Season 2, I was playing Reina, because obviously I was focused on her a lot at the end of Season 1. That move is insane though. That move is very, very good, and I'm surprised that it hasn't been touched at all, but I would expect it to eventually. Moving on, we have Jack. So he got the chip damage reduction on his Heat Smash, as well as some damage nerfs, and then also he got the change to his full crouch charge move, where it now breaks you know, strong attack reversals and parries, which it couldn't do before, but maybe it shouldn't have. I don't know, but you know, it is what it is. But this is just how it is for other moves like this, so they just made it fall in line with those other moves. Then we have Jin getting some more nerfs, which essentially are just the Heat Smash and Heat Burst nerfs, as well as some damage nerfs. These will probably add up over time, but honestly, Jin already got a lot of the nerfs that he needed. Well, then they gave him new stuff that's, you know, interesting. They gave my boy a super dash, like, oh man. Jin's still very good, probably even with these nerfs. Similarly with June, she gets some damage nerfs as well as the heat changes. They changed the damage from 38 to 32, so a 6 damage nerf when Kazama Essence is fully charged, which is her down 1+2. Moving on to Kazuya, he gets the Heat Smash change, but also his up forward 1 has been changed. The damage gets nerfed from 20 to 16. The start of the attack has been changed from 28 to 21 to just straight up 20, but they removed the homing property, which kind of blows my mind. I can't think of a time they've ever just straight up like taken away the homing properties of one of these moves, but I think it's a welcome change. I'm surprised they did it to Kazuya of all characters. I feel like it makes sense. I just, you know, I would have expected to see more of this if this is something that they were willing to do, but I'm surprised that they did it at all, to be completely honest. King, only changes he got were the heat changes with his Heat Burst and Heat Smash. I'm not gonna lie, the new string that he's got in the Jaguar Sprint probably need to be looked at. I'm not gonna lie, hopefully they do some targeted changes with that in the next patch, you know. Kuma and Panda got some changes as well. So they get the Heat Smash and Heat Burst changes. Also, they nerfed Panda's Heat Throw, the one that we've been seeing Rongchu terrorize everybody with. They increased the recovery time by 4 frames, and the tracking ability against sidesteps has been reduced. And then also you can see some damage changes in here. And then this is a big one. So the sidestep 1+2. It's normally neutral on block, and it's now -3 on block. And then when you transition into hunting stance, it is now +3 instead of +6. Hitbox has also been reduced, and they adjusted the collision with the opponent to make it less likely to hit a downed opponent. Some more damage nerfs, and then also the hunting bear stance down forward 1. This god move right here, right? This is one of those moves that just has like every property on it, like, you know, homing, counter hit, high crush, whatever. It gets a damage nerf from 27 to 23, and also it now goes from -2 to -7. So it's still safe, but you can't really steal your turn back as easily as you could before. You're basically giving up your turn when this move gets blocked, for the most part. Then we have Lars, who gets the heat changes, and then you have dynamic entry 3+4, which is the stomp. They adjusted it so that the follow-up attacks no longer occur on block or whiff, aligning the behavior with that of during dynamic entry 3+4, so the lightning no longer comes out. Then they on his down forward 3-3, they reduced the distance the opponent on block, so that's got less pushback. And then silent entry 1+2, they increased the recovery on block and whiff by 1 frame, so it's now -14 instead of -13. And then Law, surprisingly, only change he got was the Heat Smash change. I just feel like nunchucks are a little OD, but maybe in the future we'll see some changes. Lee, I know Lee players have been very, very vocal about this character not being good and having a lot of issues. The only change that he got is the is the heat burst change, which is not a targeted nerf to him specifically. This is something that they've done to a lot of characters. Yeah, so I guess we'll have to hope for some future patches for him to be addressed. Harada did acknowledge a tweet saying that they are looking into Lee, so you know, look forward to that and just be patient, I suppose. Then we have Leo, who gets the heat changes but also back one. So they made it so that this move was, it used to be -12 and now it's -9, but now they're going back, which is very rare that they do things like this. And by the way, it's very, very rare, okay? It feels like oftentimes developers are extremely stubborn and refuse to acknowledge what they made a mistake. And even when they do, they don't just completely like backtrack. But this used to be -12 and then it was -9. So then when you did back 1-4, you couldn't step it. Now they've reverted that. So now it goes back to being -12. So that way you can step the second hit of back 1-4. This was incredibly overtuned in my opinion. I'm sure Leo players were enjoying it for that brief period where you had it, but it goes back to the way it was before, to being -12. Then you have his running 3 into stance, the timing and executions. Basically it goes from +10 to +6. And then you have the new low, which is now -13. And then also the frame advantage being adjusted from +4 to +2. So again, seeing a lot of changes to things being like more punishable, having less plus frames. I think this is a trend in the right direction, having a more still fun, exciting, and like high character power game, but just being a little bit more toned down and just a little bit more manageable. You know what I mean? So yeah. Then we have Leroy, who gets the heat changes. Then also his sidestep 4 goes from +5 to +3. So again, you're seeing like a lot of common changes like this where moves are going from +5 to being like +2 or 3. And then also he had a bug where he was able to parry like 9 frames faster than he was supposed to. And they fixed that, which is, yeah, so certain things I'm just like, yo, how did that even get through? You know what I mean? It's just like, who's testing this stuff, man? But whatever. Again, things are going in the right direction. So I'm optimistic and I'm pretty happy with everything that we're seeing for the most part so far. Lydia getting a bunch of damage nerfs, obviously getting the heat smash change as well. Combo damage scaling. So her Heaven and Earth 1, the scaling has been increased from 80% to 60%, reducing the damage associated with follow-up attacks, and then a lot more damage nerfs to you know, the 4-4-3-4, which is the throw move that she has. So yeah, the attack throw. Then Lili gets the heat changes as well, and then just lots and lots of damage nerfs. I don't know why she specifically got so many, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's a big issue, or like, I think characters are supposed to have strength and weaknesses, and I don't know if Lili should or should not be like a high damage or low damage character. But it's just interesting that she got so many specifically compared to so many other characters. You know, you know, all Nina got was the changes to her heat stuff. So the heat burst and heat smash change that everybody got. And then Paul also got the heat smash change while also getting reduced input window on his deep dive strings. So basically you can't delay it as long as you could before, which I think is a very welcome change. And then also his deep dive down forward 4 goes from +6 to +3, which again, reducing those plus frames I think is very welcome. And then you'll notice some changes I'm like glossing over. I'm not going specifically into every single string and telling you like the exact amount of points each move was reduced damage wise, and there's certain like behavior fixes that I just, you know, aren't mentioning because I'm trying to get through this as quickly as possible. I feel like I'm kind of rushing a little bit, but I feel like if I don't, this video will be an hour long, and I'm trying to get it like hopefully under 40 minutes is the goal right now. I think we're making pretty good time. Actually, we might get out of here in under 30 if I, you know what I'm saying, if I get through this. But now we have Raven, who also gets the heat changes, and then you also have his QCF 1+2, frame advantage being changed from +5 to +2, and then also the While Rising 3+4. This move has been changed from -9 to -12, which I think makes sense because this is a move that was a safe homing move that was a launcher if you heat dashed off of it in heat. So it's just like kind of powerful, high reward, low risk, like it's safe, and then on hit, you know what I'm saying? It's just, you know what I mean? So, you know, when you have a move that's giving you like full combo, even though it is require a resource, but then also it's safe and also has these other properties like being homing, you know, got to be some risk involved in there somewhere, I feel like, right? Then moving on, we have Reina. So she gets the heat smash change, also some damage nerfs to multiple moves like her hell sweep and you know, some of the moves out of Unsoku. And then also they made it so that she can actually perform her command duck from crouch, which I, you know, there was a discrepancy between the move list and what the move actually did. And this isn't something that I ever actually used, but I feel like I've seen like Yagami and some other like super high level players do it. But I honestly don't even know how to effectively like make use of this at all. But then we move on to Shaheen, who got the heat smash change, and then also his sidestep 1+2 goes from +5 to +3. Also, the downward hitbox size of the first attack has been reduced, making it less likely to connect with opponents in a down state. Moving on, Steve got some changes that he absolutely needed. Even Steve players were upset with the buffs that he got because it just made the character significantly more boring. Obviously, you guys have all seen the clip of FeedEX, right? Making use of the Firefox Fury. So he gets a heat smash change, and also Firefox Fury into Flicker goes from +11 to +3. So still powerful, just not as completely thoughtless and easy as it was before. And then his 1-1-2 string goes from being -11 to -7, so it's back to being safe on block, and from neutral on hit to +4 on hit. Apparently this was unintended, that it had this frame data, and so they fixed it. Then we get Victor, who just gets the heat smash and heat burst changes. Xiaoyu also just gets the heat smash and heat burst changes. Yoshimitsu also just gets the heat burst change, and then Zafina gets the heat smash change, as well as they address an unintended behavior where the input window was shortened by 1 frame on her, and a theme of back 1+2 on hit or block. And that's everything. Ooh, okay, I got through that a lot faster than I thought I was going to. So, as I said, I think this is a step in the right direction. I think this is a really good patch. I think you could argue that this is the best patch that the game has gotten so far, because they're starting to tone down a lot of these moves and strings and strategies and mix-ups and everything like that. And while it's not a massive patch, in my opinion, like it's not like a huge step, we're getting, small step after small step that will eventually culminate into us getting the game reaching a point that we're finally satisfied and happy with. So I do want to give them credit and praise where I think it is due, because I do think this is a good patch, but it's not enough just yet. I do want us to continue being vocal, speaking on things. And this is another thing as well. I've seen some people, obviously not most of you guys, but some people are saying, oh, you guys will never be satisfied and it's never enough, and you guys are going to continue to whine and cry and complain, and et cetera, et cetera. And here's my thing, right? Do you not understand that the only reason why we're getting good changes and good patches is because we've been crying and whining and being vocal? Critiquing the game, giving criticism, taking the action that we have is the reason why the game is changing for the better. So even though they're making good changes, that doesn't mean that we just like all of a sudden like get complacent and just be like, okay, thanks, that's good enough, right? If we still genuinely feel that the game is not where it needs to be or where we want it to be for the longevity and the health of the game and the enjoyment of everybody, then we need to continue speaking on it, right? So I will continue to do that, as I'm sure other players and creators will as well. So again, this is a step in the right direction. I'm a fan, looking forward to more. Can't wait for the patch in June, as well as the patch that's coming in July. But yeah, man, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, so you can stay tuned for all awesome content I'm bringing you. With all that being said, that's pretty much all I have today. Remember, let's get happy, so you swing the bat. Later.